All right, the Utah Jazz lose tonight against a Spurs team without Victor Wembanyama, without Devin Vassell. In all honesty, an incredibly successful night for the Utah Jazz, who now hold the number 3 spot in the standings here on Tankathon. So look at this. Utah is now at number 3. Things are going well, and very likely Utah ends up at the number 2. I think at some point Utah may be able to absolutely lock this number 3, like top 3 pick spot in the bag. How incredible, especially when you look at how Ace Bailey looked. I believe it was yesterday he played. Go watch the highlights. Holy smokes. Is he looking great as a future Jazz man if the Jazz can get to that number 2 spot? All right, so the Spurs play without Victor Wembanyama tonight. They did not have Devin Vassell. Utah finds a way to lose this one. They were up by 20 in the first half, and it felt like there were a few little moves there. Like Cody Williams got some extended run in the second half. You know, people are talking about Keontae George, but Cody Williams yesterday or last game played 8 minutes. He plays 14 in this one. That probably is related, to Jordan Clarkson being out. But these minutes are big because he's struggling right now, and it both helps him to learn and grow. Got to have your lumps. Got to get through the tough times to appreciate the good or to become good. The butterfly cannot fly if it doesn't get out of its own cocoon, right? So Cody Williams has got to struggle for him to become something good. And it's also helping the Jazz lose some games because they had some solid nights tonight. But actually, let's talk about the Spurs really quick. This team found a way to win this game. It was led by Stephon Castle and Chris Paul. Castle ended up with a decent shooting night, although a lot of his scoring was off the ball, getting passes from like Chris Paul. Chris Paul looked like vintage Chris Paul. He was phenomenal tonight. Look at that, plus 12. He had some passes tonight that were so good. So incredible. He goes 13 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. He was phenomenal. Just 1 turnover to 10 assists. That's an elite assist to turnover ratio. Just incredible. Stephon Castle, he was a guy I just loved in the draft. I'd have taken him number 1. He looks so good as a defender, just a versatile defender. He can guard 1 through 5. He's so strong, so big. And then he does a lot of nice things with the ball. Look at that. 6 assists tonight playing with Chris Paul, 18 points, just 2 turnovers, but a steal, a block, and 3 rebounds. He was really good. And when that shot comes around, holy cow. I mean, he really is like Drew Holiday to me. He is fantastic. What a nice pickup for the Spurs, who still have Devin Vassell to come back and Victor Wembanyama. So this team is going to continue to win. I don't know what their record is for the season, but they're doing pretty well. In fact, why don't we just look? Let's see. The Spurs are now sitting at 12. They are up on Portland. They are up on New Orleans. They're 8-8. They are right there with the Kings, right there with the Timberwolves. Fantastic. How incredible would it be for this Spurs team to climb and for this Wolves team to drop? By the way, the Wolves lose tonight, giving the Jazz, if the draft were today with these standings, the number 13 pick and the number 3 pick. That would be just an absolutely incredible draw for Utah. If you're a Utah fan, how can you not be excited? The tank watch is on. Cooper Flagg in a Jazz uniform would look absolutely phenomenal. Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Igor Devin, Trey Johnson. The names just keep coming. It's an incredible draft, and Utah is doing the right thing. Every single loss matters. It really does. Not a lot else to say for the Spurs, but it was just nice to see them pull it out. I really like Charles Bassey. He was look at that, plus 16. He was incredible. Just how many blocks did he have? 6 blocks. Big time shout out to Charles Bassey helping that Jazz pick. What a cool backup to Victor Wembanyama. I guess if you consider Wembanyama a wing, what a nice center option he is for them. I mean, honestly, he was better than Zach Collins. Collins had some moments, but Bassey changed the game. Collins was in early first half of the fourth quarter. They ended up taking him out and putting in Bassey, who was great. Big time player for them. I don't know anything about Bassey, but just watching him as a non-Spurs fan, you could just tell he is a nice player. He did some nice things. All right, for Utah, John Collins continues to have just a great season for Utah. Too good, in fact. He's playing so well, I would not be surprised if a team out there who has the capacity just brings him on, because he's also, he's going to pick up his player option next year. It's $26 million. You can count on him picking that up. But he's got this year and next year on his contract. All of a sudden next year, he's an expiring deal. He becomes a pretty nice player to look at for some sort of trade. I don't know if it'll happen before trade deadline, because $26 million is a lot, but the cap did go up. And he's playing well. Look at these numbers. 57% from the field. He spreads the floor. 18 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. He does nice things. He's a nice player. He's playing well for Utah. Got to give credit to him and also Will Hardy to just continue to play him in the right way. Markkanen continues to struggle from 2, but from 3, very good. From 3, I got this all messed up. Screwed that up. From 2, he was good tonight. From 3, he struggled. Interesting, because it's kind of been the opposite, which is actually a pretty good sign. He did a few nice things. He had one play where he had the ball and he figured out a way to drive to the basket and score. He's so big. If he had the handle, it would make him so just another weapon in his arsenal. The handle's just okay, and he's not a pull-up shooter in a lot of ways. He is a catch-and-shoot shooter, and so this is nice to see, actually, because it means that he did some things from 2-point range you want to see. We talked about it during the live stream. What if you win the draft? What if you, because obviously the Jazz cannot trade Lauri Markkanen this season. What if you get Cooper Flagg? You get lucky and you win the lottery and you get Cooper Flagg. Do you keep Markkanen with Flagg? Probably, unless some other team comes with an insane offer. But Cooper Flagg, Lauri Markkanen, all of a sudden you've got a nice team. And, if that Wolves pick turns into anything, come on. What if that Wolves pick turns into a top 4 pick for Utah, and then you get your own? Could you imagine the Jazz coming into this draft with 2 top 4 picks? And then you have Lauri Markkanen? Things get crazy at that point. And then maybe you do wonder about it. I don't know. That would be quite the nice conundrum. But my guess is you just keep Markkanen because he's a good player and you figure it out. I know Utah wants to be bottom 8 next year, but plans can change if all of a sudden Utah's really good, right? Now, we've seen some things from our players that they're not quite there. And I think we're going to see a lot of movement at trade deadline, so it may not matter. But man, that's a nice thing to think about. We can all dream, right? I'm going to dream. I hope you guys are dreaming. Keep on dreaming. All right, let's see. So Kyle Filipowski, he had a nice rebounding night tonight, actually. The story with him is he actually left the game with a turned ankle, so that was a bummer to see. He has been playing really well for Utah, has been the best rookie for Utah. Although I guess Isaiah Collier has an argument. He cannot shoot right now. 1 for 8 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. They're just not guarding him from the 3-point line. But he is getting the assists despite that. But Filipowski has just been really good for Utah. Yeah, he was 1 for 6, but he was doing other things. That's one thing I'm noticing with Filipowski that makes me happy is it kind of reminds me, honestly, maybe his comp is Kelly Olynyk. But he just finds ways to help you win. And he had 9 rebounds tonight, 1 assist. He didn't have any turnovers. He's just, that's, I think, his best rebounding night of the season so far, which is nice to see. He just finds a way to help you win. So, actually, I didn't realize Markkanen had 27 tonight. He's awesome. Of course you keep him. Cooper Flagg and Lauri Markkanen. Cooper Flagg at the 3, Markkanen at the 4. Trade, I think Keontae George, he had a tough shooting night tonight, although it was mostly at the end of the game. In the first half, he was awesome. But, if you don't believe in Keontae George or any of these other players, guess what? It doesn't matter. Your core can be Flagg and Markkanen, and then you go for Debonsa. Could you imagine a team like that? Holy cow. But anyways, Filipowski, we'll see how long he's out, but he's been a good player for Utah. And so if he's injured for a long time, Filipowski and Kessler being out actually is going to have this team hurting because those players have both been some of the players playing the best for Utah. I already mentioned it, but Keontae George leads the team in minutes. So say what you will, but Coach Hardy is trusting in him. The shot did not fall late. He was having to create a lot of the shots, and I don't know if because this is the end of a long road trip, Utah looked tired in the fourth quarter, if we're being honest. And in fact, let's look at the schedule. Let's actually look at Utah Jazz schedule. Utah. So they lose tonight against the Spurs. Thursday. Oh, yeah. So tonight they lose. Okay, so they're back home against the Knicks. I assume they'll be playing better. But then, let's see. Home. Oh, so it looks like they get a home stretch here. So I actually feel like part of this loss, although that's why you got to respect Markkanen with this shooting is great. Although look at that, minus 19. Markkanen had the worst plus minus of anyone on the floor. But you've got to assume that this Jazz team is tired. It's a long 4 or 5 game road trip, whatever it was. They go from California to here. Players have to be tired. And, you guys know my feelings. I'm a big Key fan, but these numbers are not very great. He was having to create the shots at the end of the game. They were not falling. Colin Sexton had a better shooting night, although he couldn't hit a 3. Minus 11 for him. Key was actually, look at that, handling, doing pretty well. The Jazz were up by 20 at one point, so I know some people get mad at my Keontae George stuff. I'm a big fan. I think that whatever comes out of these upcoming drafts, whether it's Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, and then if the following year they get Cam Boozer or AJ DeBonsa, whatever, I think he's going to be part of those teams. He was a plus 20 in this one before the second half. Utah honestly went into the halftime. At one point in the first half, they were up 20. So in a game where the Utah Jazz lose by how much? By 8. Markkanen was minus 19 in this one. It's kind of wild. And Key ends up 0 in a loss. So pretty good. And then you can look at, Collier, plus 3. Plus 14 for Johnny Juzang. So kind of some interesting plus minuses tonight, actually. But anyways, we got to watch this. 5 assists for Key. He was playing better in the first half. His shot fell off a cliff in the second half, and that's got to be legs. Same thing for this whole team. I think they were just tired. If you watch that second half, you don't give up 20-point leads if you're not exhausted, and I think that's what you chalk this one up to a little bit. If you're hoping for Cooper Flagg, though, you're happy with it. Colin Sexton, 6 for 13. I think he's the biggest trade chip for the Jazz this trade deadline. I think there's going to be some teams asking about him, and I think the Jazz are going to probably figure something out. They need to make sure they secure this top pick in the draft, guys. They absolutely have to. This draft is just incredible. Trey Johnson, I would argue that someone like Trey Johnson, who is just absolutely killing it at Texas, I'm kind of surprised Edgecombe. It looks like Edgecombe's playing better for Baylor. I actually get to go watch Edgecombe in January. I got to watch some more Edgecombe film because look at that. He had a horrible first game and everyone dropped him. And then all of a sudden he's back. 13.6 points. Look at that. 9.1 rebounds at 6'5", 4.5 assists, 2 blocks, 2.7. The villain might be coming back. But guess what? If you get a top 6 pick and you get Trey Johnson, who's averaging 28.2, by the way, shooting like 50% from 3, he is breaking a ton of records, and that includes Kevin Durant and his time. Look at this, field goal percentage, 58. He is shooting 58% from 3 at Texas. That's out of his mind stuff. And you're beating Kevin Durant. When you're doing better than Kevin Durant when his time with Texas, you're doing something. And the fact that his name is Trey Johnson and he shoots the 3 like that, is there any better name is there a name that matches up with what you do than that? That's like, that's like this Utah Jazz being called the Utah Jazz Tanks or the Utah Tanks. Or I can't even think of a name a power forward being calling Power Johnson. I don't know. That is like a perfect name. Trey Johnson, phenomenal. 19 years old, shooting 58% from three, just crushing it. So Utah gets any of these players if they're top 6. So right now they sit at 3. So the only way they don't get a 6 pick is if they get jumped by four teams in the 4 and beyond. It's just so incredibly unlikely. So incredibly unlikely. And then if they get the top pick, Ace Bailey looked absolutely awesome tonight. And then Dylan Harper's looked great. So just... I can't say enough. And then Igor Devin, I mean, he might be the best. That's what's crazy is there's debates going on now. You got questions about who might be the best player in the draft. Igor Devin looks incredible. Look at this, 9.1 assists. He's 6'9" and he moves great. And then on top of that, 2.7 steals. Unbelievable. This 0.9 steals is interesting with Dylan Harper, but holy smokes. And then VJ Edgecombe, look at this. I mean, the stocks. 4.8 stocks, steals and blocks. The stocks are rising, baby. High stocks in this draft. You got to love it. What an incredible wealth of riches. Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck know what they're doing. Keep it up because this is what you want to do. Let's see. Isaiah Collier. What a great night. Well, a nice night assisting the ball. The problem with Collier is they're not guarding him. And the reason they're not guarding him, he has hit 1 3 all season. So we all love Collier. He's a lot of fun. This is part of the reason why he probably dropped, right? But the fact that they're not even guarding him from 3, like honestly stepping back, they're putting centers on him. I read an article this is something that's getting more and more common. It's almost like the Rudy Gobert effect, where teams are able to play like a small ball lineup or play their kind of slow-footed rim-protecting center because then that player can guard someone like Collier. If they can't shoot, then what it allows them to do is just have another player, that like center, in the paint. So they were doing it with like Collins and Bassey guarding Collier. But that said, even despite that, he still gets the 6 assists and the 3 rebounds. Yeah, he had 5 turnovers, and that's helping the Jazz, some tough stuff. But you got to like some of these things. Now, Isaiah Collier this offseason, this season for sure, but this offseason needs to get in the gym and get with a shot doctor and work on that jump shot. If he can figure something out, he becomes really special. A really nice guy. I don't know if special. Maybe that's probably a little over the top. But he becomes a nice player, a nice piece. But he's got to be able to shoot the ball. And right now, he cannot. He cannot. Ju Zhang had a nice bounce back night. He took 4 threes and he made 2 of them. It looked pretty good. He was a plus 14. It was his spreading the floor, spreading the ball. Really nice for him. He's had 2 or 3 really rough nights, and tonight he did a lot better. Drew Eubanks came in, did his job. -8, rebounded the ball, turned it over, had 4 fouls, 1 turnover. I love Drew Eubanks. He is going to be one of my favorite players of this season. I will always remember Drew Eubanks, who was part of the season that got us Cooper Flagg, and that got us on the road to a championship, baby. As essential as the superstar is to your title desires and title hopes, the Drew Eubankses of the world are also important in getting you there because you know. So anyways, shout out to Drew Eubanks. Cody Williams had another rough night. He looks really down on himself right now. He's got to play through it, got to learn some toughness. This is where he's going to need to just have some growth. He's just a 19-year-old kid, and this is hard. This is tough. Cody Williams, you just hope he can kind of play through this. But at this point, it's okay. Get him out there, get him playing. If you need to get these lottery balls, and you hope that Cody Williams turns into something eventually. Because what you're trying to do with all these picks is just get players. You just need length, size, athleticism, and skill. And that's what he brings. But right now it's a mental game, and he's got to be tough. And guess what? It's just, you know what? You got to play through it. You got to learn from it. You got to grow. If something goes bad, he had a turnover or 2 in this one. If it goes bad, it's okay. You got to figure it out. Bryce Sensabaugh came in this one, and I think partly because Jordan Clarkson was resting, and then all of a sudden he played really well. He has had some really rough stretches, but he had 6 rebounds. He had an assist. He shot 4 for 7 from 3. He just had a really nice first half. And then, man, he really struggled in the second. I mean, this minus 19 is crazy. That's up there with Markkanen. He might be, I don't know. He can shoot the ball, and we'll see, but I just don't know if I have a lot of faith in what Bryce Sensabaugh does. I don't know. But Utah's got to really think about some trades because they got to get these young players some minutes. They got to sign some guys off the bench, off the G League scrap heap, and see if you can find some things. But Utah needs to ensure what they're doing. Right now, things are going great. The Wolves losing, the Raptors winning has now set up Utah like this. Really great. Look at that. Even if the Jazz just end up with the top 3 pick, I might take Igor Devin at 3. I'm not kidding. I think I might take him at 3 because of what he's shown at BYU. Looks incredible. And No Ceilings agrees with me. And I think there's a lot of people out there that agree with me. Igor Devin from BYU, number 3, would be just, how cool would that be? And then next year you go and you get AJ DeBonsa from BYU as well. And you have storybook era coming, baby. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Utah gets AJ DeBonsa and whoever they get in this draft? That would be just out of this world. Out of this world. And then if this pick, I mean, my dream is that this one jumps. You know, guys, keep rooting against the Wolves. Naz Reid looks like he got hurt. Obviously, we don't root for injuries, but that definitely helps the Jazz because he is a big-time part of what they do. If that leg injury is bad, you know, they're gonna lose some games. All right, guys. All right. Things are going well. We should all feel very good about what took place tonight. It was great. Very good. I was so happy to see the Wolves lost. So happy. And I hope you guys were happy too. All right, let's turn on this music and let's see. So, Utah is in a really good position. Now, I'd like to be at the number 1. I can't believe Philadelphia is there. My guess is that Philadelphia eventually starts winning these games and eventually starts dropping down because they still have Joel Embiid. Yes, Paul George hyperextended that knee again. But they got Maxey back. I have a hard time seeing Maxey and Embiid not getting some wins. Eventually, Embiid's going to lose a little weight, right? Holy smokes. All right, let's see here. If the lottery was today and Utah goes into it with the 3 and the 13, how nice would that be? What happens? Utah drops to 4. That means they for sure get either Dylan Harper or Igor Devin. That's remarkable. Man, how crazy would that be for Brooklyn to have Milwaukee give them the number 1 pick? Utah also gets number 13. That's remarkable. So Utah gets number 4 in that one. I'll take it, baby. I'll take it. Last time we got the number 2. This time we get the number 4. And, well, we won't worry about, I haven't been tracking it, so we're not going to worry about the Wolves. But let's see here. So, Utah gets Will Riley. I don't know anything about him, but look at that. 24 and 9.2. Let's just see. I might have to do some Will Riley film. Illinois freshman, 6'8". 51 from the field. Are you serious? 70% from 3 per 36. What? What? Holy smokes. Certainly looks like Will Riley might be someone to look at. What the heck? 70%. What? What does he look like? Come to Utah. Come to Utah, Will. Hey. I love it. All right. It is now time to give a shout out to the All-Stars. Guys, if you're a Jazz fan or an NBA fan, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. But also, if you'd like to support the channel, please join. Okay, we're back. Sorry. Like I was saying, if you're a Jazz fan, my mic cut out there. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you're an NBA fan, like and subscribe. We talk about the Jazz. We talk about the NBA. And if you're a Jazz fan, you got to be here. And you know what? To everyone who is a member of the channel, I appreciate you immensely. Thank you so much for your support. It means a ton. You're what keeps me going, baby. All right, let's go shout out to the All-Stars, the executive producers. Ryan Edward Perry, the legend. Shout out Baby Elliott Matson. See ya, Alexa later. Christian House Money to Haas. The Outlaw Jesse James Nelson. Jordan the Goat Besserell. Austin R. Grant Editor Extraordinaire. KG10 to TH5. And Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. Thank you guys for your support, especially you All-Stars. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. It's a tanking season and you guys are supporting it. I love it. Makes me so happy. Phenomenal. All right, guys. I will talk to you next time. Utah on their way to Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, or all of the others. No shout outs to my mic and system for cutting out like this. Makes me mad. All right, guys. I will talk to you next game.